Hey again, everybody. It's a Friday. Welcome back to the Rant Network. I'm David Solomon, flying solo for hopefully the final time for a few weeks. Stuart should be back here in this usual seat on Monday. But thank you and welcome joining us here for the Rant Network, where we're going to talk about Ben and Jerry's stirring literally the wrong pot. What we should have said, probably delivering the wrong flavor. So those of you who are new to the Rant Network, welcome. Hope you would looking forward to joining us more often. We bring you unfiltered and uncensored conversation. This live podcast is brought uncensored, unedited, unfiltered. And we deal with a wide range of topics from news, pop culture, politics, and so much more. This is your platform to express your opinions, your feelings, honesty. This is what we're all about. So sit back and enjoy because we got you covered here on the Rant Network. So when I started this whole thing, I said the wrong flavor by Ben and Jerry's. Well, let me tell you, Ben and Jerry's loves to claim on their website that they like to combine social activism with their business activities. And they've done it numerous times. They do it regularly. They like to stir the pot in many ways. And in some cases, the messaging is good. A few weeks ago, they talked about ending gun violence. And all these messages are wonderful. But words without actions have little meaning. And sometimes the wrong words lead to problems. Sometimes the wrong words are going to cause the wrong sentiment. And sometimes who you associate with and what you say can burn you. See Bud Light. In this case, Ben and Jerry's decided that they're going to cross a line. Now, let me take you back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they decided they were going to cease operations in Israel because of their colonialist actions and the disgusting way they deal with Palestinians and so on and so forth. The left loves to bitch and shit all over Israel. We've seen this numerous times. It's their favorite bitch. Well, guess what? Because of that move, a couple of dozen states said, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to boycott Israel, you're boycotting an ally. And therefore, Unilever will be delisted as a supplier to these states. Well, Unilever lost their minds going, holy crap. And Ben and Jerry's and Unilever got into a fight over, hey, Ben and Jerry's is an activist organization. What are you doing? And Unilever said, we're the parent corporation. Long story short, nothing changed in Israel as a result. Unilever seemed to have won, but Ben and Jerry's was infuriated and said it will continue to do its activism regardless of what Unilever is saying. Well, it would seem that, they learned their lesson in terms of the messaging, in terms of how they're going to deliver the message, but then they cross a line like they did this past week. So less than a week ago was Canada Day here, and July 4th was on Tuesday, right? Canada Day, Independence Day, a time to celebrate. And yes, one of the difficulties of this time is that the foundation of this country, as well as many around the world, was founded on the fact that these were colonials who came in, conquered the land, and we have a country. And since 1776 in the United States and since 1867 in Canada, the indigenous populations have been displaced in order to put in another people. And we know this history. The problem with this history is, how do we fix it? So Ben and Jerry's decided that this week it was going to go after both the US and Canada. And its tweet was, the United States, this is the US version, the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land. This 4th of July, let's commit to returning it. And one of the things they recommended and suggested was, why don't we return Mount Rushmore first to the Sioux tribe? Now, this is the first time that there was a, hey, why don't we? And you can argue good or bad. But returning the land is an extraordinarily complicated process. Where are we sending 350 million Canadians and Americans should we return the land? Where are they going? Where am I going? I'm born and raised in Canada. I don't know where I'm going to go. How many generations back do I go to that country? And are they really going to take me back? So it's a complex situation where returning the land is difficult. But I want to ask Ben and Jerry's the following question, which many people responded. If you're so serious about returning the land, why isn't Ben and Jerry's returning all of their factories and all of their retail stores back to the indigenous population? They've grown to a multi-billion-dollar corporation thanks to appropriating indigenous land and making ice cream and selling it. Well, if you're going to put your words out there, where are the actions? This desire to stir the pot, this desire by Ben and Jerry's is something that is just ingrained in that organization and is a notion of how the left likes to work. The left likes to throw these things out there. We should, but there's no plan. We're going to disrupt. We're going to cause problems, but we're not going to come up with a plan. Now, you could say return Mount Rushmore to the Sioux tribe, and that might have some merit to it. And the court said we should give $105 million in damages, and that seems to be the way it works. Let's go and do something that makes no sense. The left loves this kind of nonsense. And Ben and Jerry's, one of Bernie Sanders love the organizations, considering he's from Vermont, and he loves this socialist left, almost communist-like mindset. Once again, there's no thought to it. It's just let's throw shit into the wind, and whatever sticks, let's do it. But we're going to cause enough of a stir to show how much of a problem we are in the US and Canada. I don't see Ben & Jerry's returning their stores. I don't see Ben & Jerry's returning their factory. But what they spend and pay out billions and trillions of dollars to fix something? We've seen this. The California legislature, they wanted to pass this whole legislation to pay reparations to descendants of slaves, which would be 3 times the size of the California budget. It would essentially bankrupt California. But who cares? Who cares? New Jersey, same thing. Who cares? We'll just return the money. Print more money. That's the left. Just do it. Ben and Jerry's, just return the land. Just do it. No thought, no nothing. In Canada, and before any performance, any sporting activity, there is a recognition that the land that we're on is Indigenous land. And yes, it would be phenomenal to give back to the Indigenous population what they deserve. But it's interesting because when you say to them, well, let's talk about Israel, that the Indigenous population were the Jews. No, no, no. We don't give it back to the Jews. It's Arab land. No, the Indigenous population of that area is Jewish. But we're not to give it back. But here, we're going to do that. Here, we're going to do it regardless. But that's a small minority. Because reality is, the left could have run with this idea. The left could have really made something out of it. The Indigenous population is quite significant in North America. But they're the most badly treated group out there. Did the Biden administration pick this up and say, yes, let's go support that? No, we're going to support the transgender, which is about less than 2% of the population. We're going to cause a massive stir about it, show you how the conservatives hate transgender so that we can get reelected. But the population, the Indigenous population, slighted, disrupted, living impoverished lives, issues with education, alcoholism, highest cases of suicide. That doesn't matter. In Canada, we killed millions of Indigenous kids and whatever, and nothing is being done to help these populations. No wonder Trudeau and Biden didn't even bother to respond to Ben and Jerry's. Because why would they want to get into that? There's no political gain. There's nothing to gain by it. But if we talk about Black Lives Matter, if we talk about the transgender, and if we talk about these things, yes, there's plenty of political gain. Ben and Jerry's stirred the pot by talking about the indigenous population. Essentially, I don't think they're going to get the Bud Light treatment. I think that people are just talking about we're going to boycott them. I have boycotted them for the last 2 years simply because of their actions towards the state of Israel. But in terms of Ben and Jerry's in the United States and Canada, I don't believe it. People know that they're full of it. They criticize the crap out of Twitter. Elon Musk, they criticize Twitter tremendously, and then they use Twitter to disseminate their messaging. Just goes to show you that how they think, like I'm going to be abusive, I'm going to make comments, and then I'm going to use it to my advantage. Maybe they'll go to Threads. I don't really care. But like Ben and Jerry's has shown time and time again that despite their activism, frankly, they're an ice cream company, and people are just going to buy their ice cream, and many are going to ignore their social commentary, right or wrong, because some of their messaging may be good, but in cases like this, on July 4th, on July 1st, to purposefully cause disruption without backing it up, without actions, like I said, had they on July 4th said, we are giving back this land that we're using to the indigenous population, kudos. But they're not giving anything back. They're keeping it for themselves. It just makes them look good. That's all. That's all that matters. Really, nobody cares. They don't care. Because if they cared, CEO Dave Stever, he's the guy leading it. There are 494,000 Twitter followers. Yay! But at the end, the indigenous population is being used in this case. They're not benefiting. They're abused again. And with everybody who says it's time to boycott Ben and Jerry's, sure, go ahead and boycott. The people who are still suffering is the indigenous population. And nothing is being done from them. And they are political pawns, and they're being hurt. So when corporations go and tie themselves up with transgender spokespersons, are they really doing this because they care for the cause? Or are they just doing it because it's cool and trendy? Same thing with the indigenous population. Same thing with Colin Kaepernick. Same thing with are they really behind the cause? Or are they just doing it for commercial and corporate purposes? I wonder from Ben and Jerry's, by selling more ice cream, is this what is this it? Is this how they're going to sell more ice cream? Because there's nothing more than words on Twitter. And any idiot today can put words on Twitter and say whatever they want on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it, any social media platform, you can say whatever you want, but are you really behind it? Now, Ben and Jerry says they do donate money to indigenous causes, but come on. Where's your real activism? Beryl Wiseman, who is the editor of the Suburban newspaper here in Montreal, is an activist, and he's told me as a social activist, it's one thing to talk, it's another thing to walk the walk. Ben and Jerry's doesn't walk the walk, they just talk. And until they do something different, just going to ignore them. That's it for all today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and gained some valuable insight. We appreciate your support and hope you'll join us again next Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern for more thought-provoking conversations. Check out our website. Check us out on social media. Like us, share us, download us at your favorite podcast. Whatever it is that you do to listen and to watch, we certainly do appreciate it. We thank you very much. Looking forward to catching you next week.